everybody and welcome back to my channel. I am coming to you directly from my office. Obviously, if you followed my journey, I have moved to Canada 2.5 months ago, so November 2022, and today, as I'm filming this, is January 23rd, so almost 3 months since I have been here, and I have gone through the roller coaster and I'm here to tell you all about it. So obviously I am in my own apartment that I was able to rent without any credit history. I wasn't asked to pay 6 months ahead. I wasn't asked for all of these kind of newcomer things that usually people tell you about. So I will be talking about finding my apartment in the next video. I just wanted to sit down today and speak about the job, because finding a job, going through the job hunt and taking that risk, I feel like a lot of people are really scared to do that. First of all, I want to say that I'm not an expert. I just finished actually my second Monday. This week is going to be the next week for me at my job, and I'm loving it. It's super exciting and challenging, which is new for me because I haven't been really that challenged in a couple years, because I got a little bit too used to my job my last job in the last company. I talked about this on Instagram, so go ahead and follow me on Instagram if you want to, because I do speak about these moving process and all of it like here and there on my stories. But I wanted to kind of sit down and go a little bit into detail about the process and the mindset to have during this process, because I'm very aware that it's not an easy one. But I want to say that I'm not an expert. I'm not someone who recruits here in Canada. I'm not like gonna say rules or restrictions or any of that, because I'm not educated enough on the subject to speak on it, but I do speak from experience. So that's what I would love to share with you guys today. The other thing is, I did move here by myself. I did everything, the whole process by myself. I did not go through attorneys or help or anything like that. And I also came to Canada with no families, a couple of friends that I know, no family. Let's talk about how I found my job. First and foremost, the last job that I had, I feel like is a huge contributor to the job that I have today. And I worked for a multinational in the IT industry within the sales department. I feel like those kind of check a lot of boxes for the market today and for the industries that are growing a lot today. And I worked there for 6 years. During those 6 years, I learned a lot. I've grown so much. I'm not the same person at all. And I feel like that was a huge portal for me to, you know, be the person and the professional person that I am today. So when it was time for me to quit, I was very emotional about it. I cried so much about quitting my job. I was emotionally attached to the company, the people. It was just like really weird for me because I never imagined myself quitting. It was my first job, so it's not like I'm used to getting out and in of jobs and companies and stuff like that. It did get a little bit emotional. But here's the thing. I got the confirmation of visa in August and it was expiring in December because my medical tests were expiring in December. If you don't know, during the immigration process, when they give you a visa to land in Canada, it actually expires the same date as your medical test. Mine was expiring in December, so they basically gave me 3 months to pick up and leave and move and relocate to Canada. I was ready to move. I don't care if it was a storm, an earthquake, I was moving. After I handled all of the admin stuff, I went ahead and started my job hunt. First of all, we need to scratch the idea that you can't find a job before landing in Canada, or that you can't find a job because you don't have an address in Canada or don't have a Canadian number. These are very little details that, trust me, employers that really see the value in your skills will give you at least the benefit of the doubt and have an interview with you. I do have friends that also found a job before they even landed in Canada, and that was my case. I knew about the job and I knew that they wanted to move forward with me in October, and my flight was November. I was able to land with a better positive mindset and be able to find rent within my budget. I want you to believe in yourself in a sense that you can't start your job hunt before even buying your flight ticket. I want to just say it is very common for people to find jobs before they even land in Canada. If your resume is going going to be on Indeed, you have to make sure that you write down that you're a permanent resident, that you're landing around this time in Canada. Basically telling them, I don't need your sponsorship. I would like to connect before it's even time for me to be there, but I don't need your sponsorship. I'm gonna be in Canada anyway. And I feel like that mindset kind of takes the pressure off of the job hunt, because you're not desperately looking for a job. You're gonna land in Canada anyway. You're not waiting on a company to give you the visa, you know what I mean? So that makes you a little bit more energetically or more confident in finding a job, versus looking for a job and that company needs to commit to you and help you and sponsor you for the visa and things like that, which are things that happen. I just feel like it's easier to not rely on a company to give you the visa. So the first part of it all is obviously putting together a CV or a resume that respects Canadian regulation criteria, I guess, or format or something like that. But you have to do your research and make sure that you kind of highlight your value to the company or your value to in general. So this is what I have achieved. This is what I'm able to achieve for a company. These are the results that, you know what I mean? So when someone is looking at your resume, they're like, okay, check, check, check. It's bullet points. It doesn't need to be storytelling kind of thing. Make sure you choose the right keywords for the industry that you're looking for. Make sure you describe your experience in the best light possible. I'm just gonna throw this out there. If you're plan to move to Canada in like 5 years or something, it's like more so of a midterm goal, I would highly suggest that you work for a multinational. In my experience, it made the conversation a lot easier, because when I came in and introduced myself, they knew the company, they knew what the company stands for, they knew what the company does in general, and so directly focused on my skills, what I can do, how well I can perform, and in what kind of environment, things like that. We went to the conversation was more broad and rich, versus, oh, like, what is the company, and I'm not sure I know the company, you know what I mean, and they have to research it and stuff like that. So if it's like a midterm kind of thing, I would suggest to switch to a multinational company. So my experience basically was I would kind of work my 9 to 5 that I already had, and after 5 I would just kind of switch and start applying in different websites. So I used Indeed.com or Indeed.ca, LinkedIn, the actual company's websites. So every company has a career segment where you can go and see like all of the openings and stuff like that. So how did I know about the companies that I could target directly in a Canadian market? I connected with people that were working in my company but in Canada, so Toronto in general. The offices were in Toronto. So I was working at Dell and they have offices in Toronto, so I kind of connected with the people that are in the leadership of the same department that I work for in Morocco. And I started to kind of pick their brain, what they think about the Canadian market. Here are the partners that we have that we work with a lot. Here are the opportunities within the market, things like that. So find people that will have that kind of information. If you don't have this direct access like I did, and like you work for a company that doesn't necessarily give you contact in another country, Google is your best friend. You look into Google, search for the companies that have the same activity in the same field, the same industry as the company that you're working for. A lot of jobs and a lot of fields are kind of regulated under the Canadian government, so you need to do your research around that. If you're already within the immigration process, I'm assuming you already did your research and you already know that you can get a job in your field in Canada. And then obviously I was very honest during the interviews. I was giving them a timeline. I knew that I was going to fly during November. I still didn't have a date, but I knew like I didn't have a choice anyway. Luckily for a lot of my interviews, because of the time difference between Canada, US, and Morocco, most of my interviews were at night, so I was able to kind of do it all in one day. I just want you to let go of that mental block that there's no way we can find a job before we land. There's so much to do. I'm just gonna handle finding a job later on. I just don't believe in that. I feel like you need to at least start your process before you fly to Canada, because you need to know what's going on. You don't want to come here and then be shocked and then start saying that coming to Canada was the worst mistake that you've done in your life. Like, you need to do your research so that you know what to expect once you're here, and you need to be visiting all these apartments, and you need to basically pitch yourself to all of these landlords, because they're not going to take you in for lack of credit history. It's a lot of things going on, you know what I mean? A lot of things are going on, a lot of paperwork is going on. So if you can start one thing before landing, maybe start your job hunt, you know what I mean? Yeah. And lastly, I was able to kind of come have a face-to-face conversation with my manager. They started the process. It was more complex than I thought it was going to be, but nonetheless, I'm not complaining. I'm very grateful. I think I landed exactly where I wanted to land within the industry. Obviously, my ambition was to upgrade from what I was doing back home, and at the same time I was prepared to take like a lower level kind of situation. Thankfully, I didn't have to. I actually feel like I totally upgraded from my last job, so I'm very grateful for that. However, I did have the mindset in my mind that I was ready to hustle. I'm the kind of person who will make sure that I make money and that I support myself financially no matter what is going on. So don't have that ego in you of, no, I'm not gonna like take any job or whatever. I'm the kind of person, like, if all else fails, I'm gonna go work at McDonald's. Like, that's the kind of person I am. That will kind of leave you with a motivation to find what you really want, to aim for what you really want, but also be prepared to not get it the first day. So if you don't get it the first day, it doesn't mean that it's going to judge your whole experience in Canada. It just means that it's a matter of time. Keep your mind focused on why you came here, and don't let any misstep kind of discourage you from the whole goal and the bigger picture of it all. Things are actually better than what I thought they were going to be, and I'm grateful for that. I'm not going to take it for granted. And last but not least, I feel like this is a given, but obviously English. Practice your English as much as possible if that's not your forte. If you're in the business side of it all, you need to learn how to speak in English within your field. So is it business, is it marketing, is it finance? You need to learn English within that field, like professional corporate English. You need to remove as many barriers as possible, starting your job hunt while you're still at home, and practicing your English as much as possible if that's something that you think you need to do. I hope you guys feel inspired. I hope you guys are ready for your move, if that's your case and that's the situation that you're in, or maybe you're just doing research before you even starting immigration. I commend you on that, because research will help you. You actually don't need an attorney for doing all of this. If you have any other questions, make sure you comment or DM me on Instagram. I will gladly answer and help. I wish you guys good luck, and I will see you in the next one.